So, Rich, you've read my thing. So my piece here is I look after the networks team in the UK, and recently we've converged with .com, so I have some .com specialists. So although we're not converged, we're not, and we have dedicated people. And it's a small team, there's only 3. There have been no HSC support, so they do project support and they do and they do everything. There's 3 people, and it's really tough, right? It's a big part of the business, it's what we're expanding on. And they have, in the converged piece, Thomas has basically said, we are converging, not we're not really happy with that, because you won't be able to provide us with the support we're looking for. He said, we will not slow you down, and basically committed that we're going to, you tell us what you want, we'll deliver, and they've gone brilliant. And they've filled their boots, quite rightly, because it's opened the door for them to do that. So we have a senior work level 3 who reports to him, who's come over from Turkey, and he is fairly well known for committing to delivery without actually planning effectively. So he will overcommit and under-deliver. But what he successfully does is will lay his bets off against the people. So it will be Thomas wants this, so you need to do that, and you are going to need to do that as well, and you've got to do it by then. And he goes, cool, hang on. I'm not committed to that. You might have done, and I am. Well, it's on his wall commitment. When you're going to deliver. So you have that kind of aggressive thing. So when Thomas goes, you why do you do that? Well, Ben says, it's just the same problem I always have. So he will lay that off. And I've come through that kind of battle and understood my place and told him that I'm not part of delivering. I own a technical team. He's delivering. He should have the project managers that do the planning. They should liaise with the available and set out a project plan accordingly to the resources that are available. And he doesn't do that. He just says, you don't have enough resources. We need it this quick and you don't have enough resources. So he will lay that off to do my problem. So that said, that's where we are. He's now, there's a project in Malaysia which is fairly high profile, from a very simple task doing, which is some firewall configuration, putting on some firewall. And they want one of my tech specialists to fly over, Monday just gone, to Malaysia to support that. So it's a week out there to do a 15-minute job, because they're nervous about it over there. And I've said that now is not the right time, because we've just opened the delivery slot for Christmas delivery. Tech specialist shouldn't be doing it. It should be done by a TSA. But you're requesting it, and that will impact the other projects that you're delivering on. And he's gone, fine, I understand what you're saying, but if that doesn't work in Malaysia, stand over it. You're accountable if it goes wrong. My outcome is, don't lay that on my shoulder. This is your responsibility because you are the delivery person. I have the technical resources. I've now bolstered my team to double the size, to give you the opportunity to plan more effectively and to use more people to get more done. But I'm not going to keep continuously doing that. This is what you've got. You now need to go through a more traditional planning method. Is that good luck?
What style is it?
And the cereal. So he's pretty red.
Mm-hmm.
He's about an 8 in terms of his status. But he's fairly monotone, doesn't use much intonation. A lot of his disapproval is through his facial tone.
So your outcome is you want to take responsibility.
Yeah, so he'll come to my desk and they'll go, where are we with this? Are you sending him to Malaysia?
Okay, so he tries to bat it over to you, so you need him to. So we need a bit of commitment and consistency over here.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll be sat at my desk generally when he'll come over and do the bit.
So Martin, about this guy going to Malaysia.
Yeah.
Do you know about this?
I I don't know about him going, but I understand your desire for him to go, yes.
Okay, well we need a technical specialist to go over there. He needs to go a week Monday, and we need him over there for about a week.
Okay.
So if you could arrange that, that would be excellent. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. So before you go, Yusuf, can I just ask, you want a tech specialist?
Yes.
Why do you need a tech specialist?
Really to placate the guys over in Malaysia. They're very nervous about this kind of thing.
Okay.
And to be perfectly honest, if we send them anything less than a tech specialist, they won't see him as being capable of doing the job. They specifically asked for a tech specialist for this.
All right.
It's to do with their firewalls, and they're just particularly susceptible to.
Right. I get that. And does it need to be before Christmas?
It does, yeah.
Why does it need to be before Christmas? What's the impact of us not doing it?
Well, the impact of us not doing it before Christmas is that they spend the next 2 months with holes in their firewall and really unwilling to let them sit around with holes in their firewall. So,
so if we did that in the UK then, just to put some more perspective around it, and I kind of get the importance of the Malaysia piece.
Yeah.
If we did that in the UK, that's something that we would deliver out of HSC. So, as you understand, we've got this Christmas support coming up, and we've got limited resources, and you also know that we've increased our number of resources to assist with the massive amount of work that you've got on. So, whilst trying to help you, what you're in effect going to do here is take one of the resources that I've already given you, take them away from a big piece of project that you've already signed up to Tom's work in Blood, and you're going to use that resource and fly them out to Malaysia. So, are you happy that your project in EDC is now going to slip based on you've used that resource?
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not happy my project will slip. My project won't slip. And I'm sure that if you can either add a little bit more resource to put into that problem and sort that out.
Which I can't, because I've got my resource for you.
Well, I'm sure you can find an extra one resource for a week.
Okay, so I can. But there's your priority list. So those are your projects. Those are the resources you know we have. Which of those projects do you want to see?
Well, I understand what you're saying, but this guy needs to go to Malaysia. And then, if he doesn't go to Malaysia, then there's going to be problems in Malaysia. So I need you to get that done. Tom Ashton already is here with me.
So which of these should we slip?
Well, I don't want you to slip any of them.
So we need to slip one.
We can't.
Okay, so we don't need Malaysia.
Well, we have.
So you're now putting me
in
a situation.
Well, I don't think I am, Martin. I think you're being...
Let's pause it there. Okay.
That's not far wrong.
I think we're getting some feedback from already. How do you think it's going?
It was going fairly form. I think he would have backed down a little bit more there, but I know that he would have found me quite aggressive there. But he kind of...
What do you think is going well, and what do you think isn't?
So I think I've articulated clearly he has a set number of resources and an amount of work that he needs to achieve. I've tried to point out that he's made a commitment that he has to use my resources more effectively. So I think I've stated those facts to him. But I just think because he knows where he's landed himself in terms of commitment, my answer just isn't working for him.
So can I give you feedback? I mean, impressively high status player there, Martin. You stayed solid. You were asking why, does it mean, can you just clarify? So you just push back all the time in a very strong way. Felt like his status was slipping, sliding down, and I think he was feeling pretty stupid. And I'm not surprised he began to get defensive with you, because it felt like he was being backed into a corner, and which is probably true, but I'm wondering if
probably the catalyst of the problem there.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if you do the same sort of high status but bring in slightly more warmth and come from a collaborative approach and rather than just why push, just a bit, okay, I can hear that's important, can we actually talk about the whole thing and collaborate, because I'm hearing some issues, and I would like to achieve that as well, but we might need to think a bit more creatively. So opening it up a bit more instead of sounding very stubborn. That was my experience.
Yeah, sure.
That was my take, but happy to hear your feedback.
Well, initially you walked in, he stood over you.
Yeah.
So, and you let him stand over you.
Yeah.
I would have probably said, do you want to take a seat for a sec? I don't know if that's available where you actually come over to your desk. I don't know if that's because there's a power thing already. He's come over, and that instantly is obviously that gets to you because he's like, I want this, and he stood over you, so instantly it's like that. And then you made statements like, "Are you happy for something to slip?" rather than, and then you brought the priorities at the end. I would have said, "Listen, we've got all these projects that are high priority for you, and I appreciate that. These are the people that we've allocated to that. You can see we're maxed out. Now, I can't make up any time or new resource from anywhere. We have to prioritise it. What's the least priority thing? If Malaysia has to happen,
together collaboration.
So more collaborative.
What can we slip?
Yeah.
What would you be acceptable that we can push back on?
Yeah.
Because I can't magic up anything.
So you just see the body language is slightly different now. It's kind of this instead of on solid. Your body language is very solid and tight, and that's a bit more.
What the background to kind of your relationship with you is. I've not worked with a guy before, but I do understand what he's like. So I'm not sure, but it kind of felt like you were almost deliberately trying to rile him in a way by just saying, your problem, you deal with it.
Right.
It's the first alternative rather than the first alternative being, here's the project plan, here's where we are, here's our priorities.
So that's the difference, right? It's not my project plan, and it's not my priority.
Sorry, your resource
But
plan.
you know what your
plan.
resources are, right? And what
Your
the
resource plan for
you've
these
got
projects.
that's in your control.
Yeah.
And you've signed up. This one's going to work on that. So that you have that. That's your power. Right? He needs your resource, and you've already allocated them all. Based on say, if we can't resolve this, we're going to have to take it to tarmac, I'm afraid.
But you're just
I don't know if
So
that's
I think that's the bit.
I don't know the dynamics of your team, so maybe
that's the bit that I didn't mention, that I don't want the relationship, because Thomas highly rates him and he's one of his trusted advisors. So if I sort of played that game, and it's right because I thought about it, so you're right in thinking that he might be quite happy with that, to be honest, because I know where I stand. So that's where I'm trying to play the balancing game. I did write it in there, but I didn't.
No, I don't know the dynamics of your team. So
well, I didn't get the feel that you were able to come to a solution.
No, I think you're right.
Martin, this is a negotiation, right?
Should be, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So do we? It just feels like a bit of a bum fight at the moment where you're just arguing over it.
Yes.
Perhaps. So it feels like the crux, actually, the what's going on beneath this is that Malaysia don't want HSE people, which is something that we all come across all the time, and then people just don't want the HSE involved because there's a stigma attached to sort of the quality of their work.
Malaysia believe they can do it themselves, and it's one of his project managers that's forcing one of my people on Malaysia, even though they haven't checked.
So could you offer support if Malaysia didn't offer support, but you won't accept that?
You say, yeah, fine, you do that, but you stand over when it goes wrong. That's the crux to it.
Okay.
He's accepting my position and saying, you don't want to send him. You're telling me that he's not needed on that project, so if it goes wrong, that's your fault. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, this should be done out of HSC, so you have the opportunity. Don't want to do it.
So don't make it an argument about resources, make it an argument about the rating.
Okay.
Because the issue is not the resource issue. The issue is actually the fact that he's trying to land this as your responsibility.
Yes.
It's not.
Yeah.
And should you not just be using HSE resources?
Well, yeah, strategically we should be using HSE.
But then that's his problem, surely.
Can I suggest we get less, rather than talk about the specific, the technical, if we just focus on behaviour for now, for the purpose of the core.
Could I say
a little bit of feedback here?
The why is quite an aggressive word. You keep saying why. It becomes it's something that will put the shutters up.
Right, okay.
So maybe think about, instead of saying why, saying how about, or what if, or
Okay.
something a little.
So it's a
simple thing, but it's.
So win-win. in, open.
Yeah.
Can we take a seat and explore this in a bit more?
So, Martin, how are you doing?
Hi, Yusuf. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good. Yes, I'm very good, thank you. Malaysia.
Yes.
Needs,
Malaysia.
bit of a jolly for one of your chaps. Need one of your tech specs to go over there and sort out this firewall problem that they've got, okay?
Okay.
Needs to be done soonest.
Sorry. Did you get my email about that, Yusuf? Because there's a bit more around it than there is just one of them needs to go. I think between us we need to come up with some way of understanding the impact of sending those guys.
Well, the impact, let me tell you the impact of not sending one of those guys.
Okay.
And the impact of not sending one of those guys is that, you know, you're going to be sat there while Malaysia falls apart with lots of egg on your face for not sending one of those guys. So, you know, best chop and get one of them out there pretty damn quick, all right?
Okay,
Superb.
so just want to take a couple of minutes to understand the other side of that, Yusuf, because it's not exactly a one-way street. So you do understand the resource constraints that we have. So
well, I understand the resources are tight, but they are everywhere.
So in terms of the programme of work that you've got to deliver, the constraints and resources that we've had as a team to be able to deliver it, obviously you're aware we've bolstered that now so that we can try and get as many projects out as possible. Now, the way I look at this, I understand you have a preference to send Graham over there, and that's absolutely fine, that's your prerogative. My resources are for you to use. You're
saying preference. I don't have a preference for sending Graham over there. They asked for, but it's required that we have a technical specialist going over there.
So I'm not quite sure I understand why a tech specialist is needed, because we normally use just normal TSA, don't we, for this kind of?
We would if it was here in the UK. That would normally be
what's the difference over there?
The difference over there is that they just, the Malaysian people, they wouldn't trust CSA.
Okay, fine. So I get that now, because I didn't really understand that culture.
They want somebody with a little more status. And,
fine, got it. So we'll send Graham, okay?
Right,
that's all fine. However, what we probably now need to work on is that's going to cause us some constraint around the other projects that we're trying to deliver. So how shall we line these resources up more effectively to deliver this, whilst we take Graham into Malaysia?
Well, that's good to be perfectly honest. I mean, I don't understand your schedules. That's over to you really. But Tom Ash has asked me to get this sorted for Malaysia. He's, you know, in the loop on this one, and it's important we get it done.
Okay, and presumably Thomas is aware that your programs are using these resources and that their problems as well. So all I want is Tom.
Well, I talked these resources through with.
I just don't want Tom to be in a position where he's expecting everything to be delivered. When clearly the resources, if we haven't worked out a better plan between us.
I'm just not supposed to. So much better. How are you?
Yes, it's slightly a contract because I think Rich did a good job in pushing me, and I don't think I get quite the same resistance from Yusuf. But
okay.
He pushed the open button.
Yeah.
And I will certainly try that approach. Put it that way.
Well, how did it feel?
So it felt less confrontational, and I guess because he really rattles me, I quite like the fight. So to step back a little bit is slightly out of my comfort zone. But I am shrewd enough to know that if I concede a bit for a bigger game, then I can do that.
But from over here, you looked calmer. You looked more contained. Your energy was very reasonable, and it felt like you were listening this time. And I really like you were asking him questions, not in such a direct way this time, but you were still asking him questions, and you were very clear. You know, what we need to work on now is this. And I liked the fact that you referred to. So I'm assuming Tom will be aware. It was just a slightly less direct confrontational way of saying the same thing, and I think he's kept his status high and is less defensive with you as a result. Right. So for me, it was 10 times better.
You stole one of my status tricks.
Oh, really?
The status trick is that playing Tom will be too happy.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
That's out the window, so I can't play that trick with you.
Yeah.
Yes, you were winding me up, to be honest, because you just weren't complying with what I wanted,
Yes.
which is, to be fair, your stated aim.
Yes.
You say you would have backed off well before that. Would he have just said, okay, stuff this is your problem, you deal with it, I'm out of here, or would he have backed off in terms of, okay, we won't send anyone to Malaysia till after Christmas?
No, it would have been a case of, there's no need to be like that.
Right.
I know you've given me people, you promised me, and he will go back to,
Yeah.
not what I promised him, but what he's told me I should be promising.
Right.
So he will go back to his laying off bets
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. When did I promise that to you?
Yeah, yeah. That is a...
It's the calm is the most important thing, isn't it? I know because I'm guilty of being I'm a high yellow bordering on red in places, and sometimes if I get into a confrontation, I lose my rag, you know. And I know we all do, but you know, and then I kick myself to death afterwards for for losing my status by losing my rag.
Because he challenges me because I'm yellow to blue, but he normally quite sort of apologetic and sort of I'm not really going to go over the top. If that's the way you feel about it, that's fine, and that will be a small win for you for me to bigger picture. But he does it differently, where actually he sends me up the scale towards kind of the red element.
It's like you're almost the first time you did it, first time around. It's like you're almost anticipating that and just started massively attacking him.
Yeah.
And he was obviously that's just going to go like hammering at each other.
I mean, you sat there and you put your barrier
Yeah.
up straight away. And you did it the second time, but then you
opened
it up. But instantly he walked in. You were
And that's probably
But it's probably the same because you know what's coming.
Yes.
But if you can reflect it back at him and say, can I open up the problem and say, you know, here's where we are resource-wise. They're working on your projects here. They're working on your projects here. Let's have a look at it and almost make it his problem without telling him it's his problem.
And I felt you did that.
Yeah.
The second time, very much. Yeah. So really, really great. Very quickly, exactly. Nice, really nice job.
Okay.
Yeah. Well done. Well done. Okay. Gosh, we are so.
We're so late.
We're so late. But that's okay. So I really wanted.